Commander John Hayes stood at the viewport of the Earth Alliance vessel Starseeker, watching as the massive Galactic Council station grew larger against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars. His hands gripped the rail tightly, knuckles white with tension. After decades of searching the stars for other intelligent life, humanity had not only found it, but was now invited to join their community. The weight of representing all of Earth rested heavily on his shoulders. "We're receiving docking instructions, Commander," said Lieutenant Amy Foster from her station. Her voice remained steady, but Hayes could see the excitement in her eyes. "Proceed with docking sequence," Hayes replied, "and inform Dr. Warren and Peters to meet me at the airlock. They should be part of the first contact team." 20 minutes later, Hayes stood with Medical Officer Dr. Lisa Warren and Xenobiologist Alan Peters as the airlock cycled open. The corridor beyond revealed a delegation of alien beings. Hayes had studied the briefing materials, but seeing these species in person took his breath away. The leader stepped forward, a tall, blue-skinned being with 4 arms and eyes that shimmered like liquid silver. "I am Council Member Zorthal of the Viridian Collective. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome the representatives of Earth." Hayes stepped forward and bowed slightly. "Commander John Hayes of the Earth Alliance vessel Starseeker. We come in peace and friendship." The delegation led them through vast corridors where dozens of different alien species moved about their business. Some resembled animals from Earth, bipedal felines, insectoid beings with multiple limbs, even reptilian humanoids. Others defied easy description, from floating orbs of light to creatures that seemed to shift and change as they moved. "The Council has existed for over 3,000 years, Zorthal explained as they walked. 12 primary species govern together, with another 38 holding observatory status. We hope Earth will join us soon." They arrived at a large chamber where representatives from various species sat in tiered seating. Hayes felt small under their curious stares. "As is customary for all new species," Zorthal said, "we must conduct basic medical examinations to ensure biological compatibility and prevent any unforeseen contamination issues. It is merely a formality." Dr. Warren nodded. "We understand and consent. We've brought our own medical data as well." The alien medical team was professional and efficient. Hayes watched as they scanned Peters first, then Warren, using devices that hummed softly. When his turn came, Hayes removed his jacket and sat on the examination table. The alien doctor, a small gray-skinned being with 6 fingers on each hand, ran a scanner over Hayes. Suddenly, the device emitted a sharp beep. The doctor frowned, adjusting settings before scanning again. The same beep sounded, louder this time. Other alien doctors gathered around, speaking rapidly in a language Hayes couldn't understand. Their body language shifted from professional calm to what Hayes recognized as agitation. "Is there a problem?" Hayes asked, feeling uneasy. One of the medical officers hurried over to Zorthal, showing him something on a screen. The council member's silver eyes widened, and he quickly glanced at Hayes with an expression impossible to read. Dr. Warren moved closer to Hayes. "What's happening?" she whispered. The alien doctors continued their hurried conversation, occasionally looking at the 3 humans with what seemed like a mixture of fear and fascination. Finally, Zorthal approached them. The room had grown silent. "Commander Hayes," he said, his voice carefully controlled, "there is something about your biology that requires immediate discussion with the full council." Hayes straightened his back. "Is there some kind of problem?" "Not a problem, exactly," Zorthal replied, though his tone suggested otherwise. "But your species, your biology contains elements we have only seen in ancient records. Elements that, by all our understanding, should not exist in a naturally evolved species." Peters stepped forward. "What are you suggesting?" Zorthal's 4 hands made a complex gesture. "Commander Hayes, I believe your people have a right to know this. According to our scans, humans are not what you believe yourselves to be. There is evidence suggesting your species was created." The humans were escorted to a large medical facility Deep within the council station, Hayes walked stiffly, his mind racing with questions. Dr. Warren and Peters followed close behind, exchanging worried glances. The room they entered was filled with advanced equipment. Screens displayed data in alien scripts, and strange machines hummed with energy. A group of different alien species stood waiting for them. "I am Chief Medical Officer Krexnar," said a tall, insect-like being with gleaming compound eyes. "Please, be seated." Hayes sat down cautiously. "I want to know exactly what you found in our examinations." Krexnar touched a control panel, and a three-dimensional image of human DNA appeared above the table. Parts of it glowed with bright colors. "Your biology contains several unexplainable features," Krexnar said. "First, your cells show regenerative abilities far beyond what would develop naturally. You heal from injuries much faster than evolutionary pressure would require." Dr. Warren leaned forward. "Many species on Earth have remarkable healing abilities. That's just nature." "Perhaps," Krexnar replied. "But there is more. Your brain contains neural pathways that are currently dormant. They appear designed to activate under specific conditions." Peters frowned. "Designed? That's a loaded term." Krexnar moved to another display, showing a comparison between human DNA and something else. "We have found markers in your genetic code that match patterns we've only seen in one other context, species modified by an ancient civilization." Hayes stood up quickly. "Are you suggesting humans were created by aliens?" "That's absurd." "Not created from nothing," said another alien doctor, this one with pale green skin and no visible eyes. "Modified. Enhanced. Your basic form evolved naturally, but something altered your ancestors roughly 50,000 years ago." Warren shook her head firmly. "This is ridiculous. Humans evolved on Earth through natural selection. We have fossil records, evolutionary evidence. Yet your DNA tells another story," Krexnar insisted. "These sequences here, they are like signatures. We've seen them before in species believed to be uplifted by the civilization we call the Architects." Peters had been silent, studying the displays with growing interest. Who were these Architects? A new voice spoke from the doorway. "A question we have been asking for millennia." Zorthal entered the room with several council members. The Architects were an advanced civilization that disappeared approximately 50,000 years ago. They left technology and ruins across the galaxy, but no survivors were ever found. At least, none we recognized. Hayes felt a chill. "And you think we're connected to them?" "We believe you may be their final creation," Zorthal said. "Your biology contains elements that appear designed for specific purposes. Your adaptability, your intelligence, your resilience. These are not accidents." "This is speculation," Warren argued. "You're looking at normal biological variation and seeing patterns that aren't there." Krexnar pointed to another display. "These backup systems in your organs have no evolutionary purpose. Your immune system contains mechanisms that should not exist in a naturally evolved species. And your brain has the capacity for abilities you have not yet accessed." Hayes looked at his crew, then back at the aliens. "What does this mean for us? For Earth?" Zorthal's silver eyes seemed to darken. "The Council has voted. Earth will be placed under quarantine until we determine whether humans are a natural species or something else. Possibly weapons created by the Architects." "Weapons?" Hayes stepped forward angrily. "We came here in peace." "Many weapons seem harmless until activated," said another council member. "There are warnings in ancient texts about the last creation, beings who would one day reclaim the galaxy." "This is insane," Warren protested. "You can't quarantine an entire planet based on myths and misunderstood biology." Hayes stood tall, facing the council members. "We demand to know more. If there's evidence about our origins, we have a right to see it." Zorthal nodded slowly. "You will be given access to the records we have. But until the Council reaches a final decision, no ships will be permitted to leave or enter Earth space." Hayes met the alien's gaze. "And if we find these claims are false, then you will have nothing to fear," Zorthel said. "But if they are true, the galaxy may have much to fear from you." Back on Earth, news of the Council's quarantine spread quickly. World leaders gathered in an emergency session at the United Nations headquarters in New York. Security Officer Frank Murphy paced nervously outside the meeting room. A former Marine with 20 years of service, Murphy had seen many threats to Earth, but nothing like this. When the doors finally opened, he was immediately called inside. "Officer Murphy," said the Secretary General, "we need your help. You'll be working with Dr. Olivia Clark to investigate these alien claims about human origins." Dr. Clark stood nearby, a serious woman with short brown hair and tired eyes. She had been working nonstop since the news broke. "We need to find the truth," she said, shaking Murphy's hand. "Either prove the aliens wrong or understand what we really are." Within days, they assembled a team. Anthropologist Maria Rodriguez, who specialized in early human development, and historical data analyst Greg Wilson, an expert in finding patterns in ancient records. They set up in a secure facility beneath Washington, D.C., surrounded by screens and research equipment. "If our biology was changed," Rodriguez explained, "there should be evidence in the archaeological record. A sudden change in human development or capabilities." Wilson nodded, pulling up charts on his screen. "And there are strange jumps. About 50,000 years ago, human tool use suddenly became much more complex. Art appeared almost overnight. It's called the Great Leap Forward." Clark frowned at the data. "That matches the timeline the Council gave for the architect's disappearance." "Could be coincidence," Murphy said, but he didn't sound convinced. Clark pulled up genetic data on another screen. "Look at these sequences. They act like backup systems, redundancies that no other animal on Earth has. If one part of our DNA gets damaged, these sections can repair it." "Evolution doesn't plan ahead like that," Rodriguez admitted. "That does look designed." Days turned into weeks as they dug deeper. Wilson discovered strange symbols in ancient cave paintings that matched patterns found in other archaeological sites around the world. Rodriguez found unexplained similarities in early human development across continents before travel should have been possible. Meanwhile, aboard the Starseeker, Hayes and his crew made discoveries of their own. During a meeting with junior council members, Peters overheard a conversation about the last creation and the reclaiming. That night, Hayes called his crew together in their private quarters. "Something isn't right," he said quietly. "Several council races seem afraid of us, not because of what we've done, but because of what they think we might do." Dr. Warren showed them data she had copied from the council medical files. According to these records, there's an ancient warning about the architect's final creation, a species designed to survive any disaster and eventually reclaim the galaxy. "And they think that's us?" Peters asked. "It appears so," Hayes replied. "But reclaim it from what? For what purpose?" Back on Earth, Murphy's team found their biggest lead yet, an ancient site in South America with technology that shouldn't have existed 50,000 years ago. The artifacts contained metals not naturally occurring on Earth. "This shouldn't be possible," Rodriguez whispered as they examined the findings. "This level of metallurgy didn't exist until modern times." Clark ran tests on the artifacts. These contain the same unusual atomic structure as the samples the Starseeker sent us from the Council archives. Murphy looked at the assembled evidence on their screens: genetic anomalies, archaeological impossibilities, and historical gaps that suddenly made sense if humans had been modified by an advanced civilization. "I think," he said slowly, "we need to accept the possibility that the Council is right about our origins, but wrong about why we were created." Wilson pointed to a star map they had reconstructed from ancient sites around the world. "All these locations point to the same region of space. If the architects left us a message about our purpose, that's where we'll find it." Clark's phone rang. It was a secure call from the Secretary General. "The Council has sent ships to observe Earth," he said urgently. They're in orbit now. The situation is escalating. Murphy looked at his team. Then we need answers fast, before they decide we're too dangerous to exist. Earth governments formed a unified response team as panic spread about the alien ships watching from orbit. Military forces worldwide went on high alert, though everyone knew Earth weapons would be useless against the advanced Council technology. Murphy led the security efforts from the Pentagon, coordinating with military leaders around the globe. We need to prepare for the worst while hoping for the best, he told them during a video meeting. Set up emergency protocols, but avoid any actions that might seem threatening to the observers. Meanwhile, on the Council station, Hayes and Dr. Warren found themselves increasingly isolated. Council members who had been friendly now avoided them. Guards followed them everywhere. We need to get back to Earth, Hayes whispered to Warren as they sat in their quarters. We need to warn them about what we've learned. A soft knock interrupted them. When Hayes opened the door, he was surprised to see a reptilian being with copper-colored scales and yellow eyes. I am Venek, the alien said quietly. I am an archaeologist who has studied the architects for many years. I believe you deserve to know the truth. Hayes let him in cautiously. What truth? The Council fears you without cause, Venek said. I have studied the ancient texts more carefully than most. The warnings about the last creation have been misinterpreted. Warren leaned forward. How so? The architects didn't create weapons, Venek explained. They were researchers, explorers. They feared something, some great disaster that had happened before and would happen again. They needed a species that could survive. And that's us? Hayes asked. Venek nodded. According to the oldest texts, they found a promising species, early humans, and enhanced them. They gave you remarkable resilience, dormant abilities, and the capacity to adapt to almost any environment. Why are these abilities dormant? Warren asked. They would activate gradually as you advanced, Venek said. The final activation would occur when you reached a certain technological threshold. He paused. A threshold you crossed when you developed faster-than-light travel. Back on Earth, Clark's team made a breakthrough. Rodriguez discovered references to an untouched archaeological site beneath the Antarctic ice. Satellite scans revealed a structure buried 2 miles down. We need to get there, Clark told Murphy. Whatever's down there might give us answers. As they prepared an expedition, Council observation ships increased in number. World leaders debated whether to try communicating with them or preparing for conflict. The Secretary General addressed the world in a calm broadcast. We are seeking peaceful resolution with the Galactic Council. There is no need for panic or hostile actions. But behind closed doors, Murphy was tasked with organizing planetary defenses. It's like preparing to fight gods with sticks and stones, he told Clark as they watched reports of the growing alien fleet. On the Council station, Hayes and Warren planned their escape with Venek's help. The reptilian archaeologist provided them with access codes and a small transport ship. Why are you helping us? Hayes asked as they prepared to leave. Because I believe in truth, Venek replied. And I believe the architects had faith in humanity. They wouldn't have chosen you without reason. As they boarded the small ship, alarms began to sound. Their escape would not go unnoticed. In Antarctica, Clark and Rodriguez descended through the ice in a specialized drill vehicle. 2 miles down, they reached an artificial structure unlike anything seen on Earth. The walls were made of an unknown metal that still gleamed after 50,000 years. Look at these symbols, Rodriguez said, pointing to markings on a massive door. They match the patterns we found in ancient sites worldwide. Clark touched the door, and to everyone's surprise, it began to open. At the same moment, in space, Hayes piloted the stolen ship away from the Council station, dodging pursuit vessels. Warren monitored communications and heard disturbing news. The Council is voting on whether to neutralize the human threat, she said grimly. We're running out of time. Hayes pushed the ship's engines to maximum. Then we need to get to Earth fast. before they decide our fate without knowing the truth. News reports around the world began sharing strange stories. A child in Brazil survived a fall that should have killed her. A firefighter in Canada walked through flames without burns. A doctor in Japan found her touch could ease pain in ways medicine couldn't explain. Murphy collected these reports, seeing a pattern. "It's happening more and more," he told Clark over a secure line. Just like Venick told Hayes, "Our abilities are waking up." Clark was too busy to reply at length. She stood in the center of a vast chamber deep beneath the Antarctic ice. The walls glowed with soft blue light, illuminating what looked like sleeping pods arranged in circles around a central platform. "These pods are empty," Rodriguez said, examining one closely. "But they were used once. There are traces of biological material inside." Wilson worked at a control panel made of crystal-like material. "This technology is incredible. It's still running after 50,000 years. The central platform suddenly lit up as Rodriguez accidentally pressed a sequence of symbols. The team stepped back as a beam of light shot upwards, forming a human-like figure. "Greetings, children of Earth," the figure said in perfect English. "If you are seeing this message, you have reached the development stage where activation has begun." "It's a recording," Clark whispered. "A message from the architects." The figure nodded as if hearing her. "Yes, I am a recording, but also more. I am an interactive database containing the knowledge of those you call the architects. We were known as the Kadari." The hologram, male in appearance with features from multiple human races, looked at each of them. "You were created not by random chance, but by careful design. Your ancestors were promising, but we enhanced them, giving you the potential to survive what we could not." "What happened to you?" Rodriguez asked. "Our civilization, like many before us, fell to the cycle, a pattern of extinction that sweeps the galaxy every 50,000 years. We detected it too late to save ourselves, but not too late to save something of the galaxy's legacy." Outside the chamber, other research team members reported strange phenomena throughout the base. Equipment worked better when certain people touched it. Injuries healed faster than normal. Meanwhile, on the stolen ship, Hayes, Warren, and Venick dodged Council vessels as they approached Earth. Council communications revealed growing panic about the human awakening. "They fear what they don't understand," Venick said. "The Council has existed so long, they fear any change to the galactic order." Back in the chamber, the hologram continued explaining. "We created several species across the galaxy as guardians and inheritors. You humans were our final creation, designed to adapt to any challenge. The abilities now awakening in your people were always part of your design." "So we're artificial," Clark said, feeling strangely calm about this revelation. "Enhanced, not artificial," the hologram corrected. "We built upon what nature began. Your emotions, your creativity, your capacity for both logic and intuition. These are yours. We simply ensured you would survive to use them when needed." "Needed for what?" Wilson asked. "To rebuild, to preserve knowledge, to ensure life continues despite the cycle. The dormant abilities now awakening will help you face what is coming." Alarms suddenly blared throughout the base. Above them, Council ships had launched smaller vessels toward Antarctica. They had detected the energy signature from the ancient facility. "We need to protect this place," Murphy said over the radio. "Whatever's down there may be vital to humanity's future." As the first Council ships entered Earth's atmosphere, something remarkable happened. All across the planet, humans felt a strange awareness growing within them. Some could sense the thoughts of others nearby. Some found they could move objects without touching them. Others discovered enhanced strength or senses. In the chamber, the hologram grew more urgent. "The awakening is accelerating in response to the threat." This was part of the design. Adaptation triggered by necessity. Clark felt something change within herself, a sudden understanding of the complex technology around her. She touched the console and saw images from the distant past, the Kadari working to save what they could before extinction claimed them. They weren't creating weapons, she whispered. They were creating hairs. Murphy's voice came through the radio again. Council ships are landing 2 miles from your position. Whatever you found down there, we need it now. The Council dispatched a military fleet to Earth, led by Admiral Kree, a veteran commander known for his harsh but fair decisions. 50 ships entered Earth's orbit, their weapons systems powered but not yet targeting. On Earth, Murphy coordinated the planet's defenses from a command center in Washington. Military leaders from around the world joined via secure video. We have limited options, Murphy told them honestly. Their technology is centuries beyond ours. A direct fight would be suicide. A general from Russia spoke up. Then what do we do? Surrender? No, Murphy said firmly. We buy time for Hayes to return and for Clark's team to fully understand what they found in Antarctica. In the ancient chamber beneath the ice, Clark and Rodriguez worked frantically to decode more data from the architect's system. The hologram had provided access to vast stores of information, but they needed to find something specific, something that could convince the Council that humans weren't a threat. Look at this, Wilson called out, pointing to images on a crystal display. These are activation sequences, the genetic triggers that control our dormant abilities. Clark studied the sequences. If we could understand these, maybe we could control the awakening process instead of letting it happen randomly. Suddenly, the facility shook violently. Dust fell from the ceiling as a distant boom echoed through the structure. Council forces have landed, a security officer reported. They're attacking the outer perimeter. Rodriguez looked up from her work, fear clear on her face. They want to destroy this place before we learn everything. In space, Hayes piloted the stolen ship toward Earth, dodging Council vessels that tried to intercept them. Warren monitored Earth communications while Vennick provided insights on Council tactics. They're sending forces to Antarctica, Warren reported. They must know about the facility. Hayes pushed the ship's engines harder. We need to broadcast what we know to everyone, Earth and the Council. The truth is our only weapon now. Back at the Antarctic facility, the security team reported that Council forces had breached the outer defenses. Their weapons easily cut through Earth's best military technology. Clark downloaded as much data as possible while Rodriguez continued studying the central console. Suddenly, a blast shook the room. Part of the ceiling collapsed, and Rodriguez screamed as debris pinned her to the floor, blood pooling beneath her. Maria. Clark rushed to her side, attempting to move the heavy debris. Rodriguez was badly injured, blood flowing from multiple wounds. As Clark desperately tried to help, something strange happened. Her hands began to glow with soft blue light. When she touched Rodriguez's wounds, the bleeding slowed, then stopped. Injuries closed before their eyes. How did you do that? Rodriguez whispered, staring at her now healed arm. Clark looked at her hands in shock. I don't know. I just knew I could. Similar awakenings happened globally as humans under threat demonstrated unprecedented abilities. A soldier in Brazil found he could sense enemies before seeing them. A pilot in Japan discovered she could mentally interface with her aircraft's systems. A doctor in Egypt suddenly understood how to cure a disease that had baffled medical science. As Council forces closed in on the central chamber, Clark stood with her team, newfound confidence in her eyes. They think we're weapons, but that's not what the architects created. We're healers, builders, protectors. Outside, a bright light cut through the Antarctic sky as Hayes' ship arrived, broadcasting on all frequencies. The message from the hologram played for everyone to hear, humans and Council forces alike. Humanity was created not to destroy but to preserve, the architect's voice explained. Not to conquer but to protect. The abilities they possess are defensive, adaptive, meant to ensure survival against the cycle that claims all civilizations eventually. As the message played, the Council forces paused their attack. In orbit, Admiral Kree ordered his ships to hold position as he listened to the broadcast. On the ground, Clark faced the first Council soldiers to breach the central chamber. Instead of attacking, she extended her hand in peace. "We are not your enemy," she said clearly, "and we can prove it." Admiral Kree stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching the data streaming in from Earth. Reports showed humans demonstrating remarkable abilities, yet not one had used these powers to attack Council forces. Instead, they were healing injuries, protecting civilians, and attempting communication. "Admiral," said his second-in-command, "the humans could have struck back at our landing parties, but they didn't. They only used their abilities defensively." Creed nodded slowly. "Contact Commander Hayes. I want to speak with him directly." On Earth, Hayes landed near the Antarctic facility and rushed inside with Warren and Vennick. They found Clark standing between Council soldiers and the ancient technology, her hands raised in peace. "We have nothing to hide," she was saying. "Examine our minds if you have the technology. You'll see we mean no harm." Hayes approached carefully. "My ship received a transmission from Admiral Kree. He's willing to talk." A large screen activated on the wall, showing the stern face of the Council Admiral. His eyes moved over the humans, and the ancient chamber visible behind them. "Commander Hayes," Kree said formally, "the evidence from this facility confirms much of what your stolen ship has been broadcasting. The architects did indeed create your species, but not for the purpose we feared." Hayes stepped forward. "Admiral, we're as surprised by all this as you are. But now that we know the truth, we need to work together." Kree was silent for a moment. "The Council feared you were weapons designed to conquer, but my scientists now tell me your biology is primarily defensive and adaptive. You respond to threats without becoming inherently aggressive. That's what we've been trying to tell you," Clark said. "The architects created us to survive and preserve knowledge, not to destroy." The Admiral looked thoughtful. "The question remains, what triggered your awakening now? Our arrival or something else?" Rodriguez gestured to the data displayed on the crystal screens. "According to this, it was time. The cycle the architects feared is approaching again. Our abilities are activating to help us prepare." Over the next week, negotiations continued between Earth and the Council. The evidence from the Antarctic facility proved decisive. Humans weren't designed as weapons, but as caretakers with adaptive biology, meant to survive the coming cycle, a massive extinction event that had repeatedly wiped out galactic civilization. The Council Fleet Commander finally agreed to recognize Earth's sovereignty and humanity's right to explore their abilities and heritage. Quarantine was lifted, and official diplomatic relations established. 1 month later, Hayes stood in the Grand Council chamber as Earth's first official ambassador. Warren led a team of human and alien scientists researching the medical applications of human healing abilities. Clark established the Architect Legacy Institute to study the vast knowledge left behind by the ancient civilization. After the public ceremony welcoming Earth to the galactic community, Hayes was approached by one of the oldest council members, a wise being named Telenar, whose species had existed for millions of years. "Ambassador Hayes," Telenar said quietly, "there is something you should know. We have reason to believe several council races, including my own, may also be architect creations, just from much earlier cycles." Hayes looked surprised. "You mean we're related?" "In a manner of speaking," Telenar replied. "Created for different purposes, at different times. My people were designed to preserve knowledge, yours to survive and rebuild, others to explore, to communicate, to remember." "Why didn't you tell us this before?" Hayes asked. Telnar's ancient eyes held wisdom and sadness. "Few know this truth. Many would deny it. But as the cycle approaches again, perhaps it is time for all the children of the architects to recognize each other and work together." As Hayes looked around the council chamber with new understanding, he realized humanity was stepping onto the galactic stage, not just as another species, but as part of something greater, inheritors of an ancient legacy charged with protecting life itself. Clark's voice came through on his communicator. "John, you won't believe what we just found in the Antarctic data. The architects left coordinates for their other facilities across the galaxy, and a warning about what's coming. Hayes took a deep breath. Send the data to the Council immediately. It seems our real work is just beginning.